we shall begin. Okay, so thanks Jaren for joining us. Okay, so for those who are not sure who Jaren is, okay, he's currently in SMU Sports. Is there this is your sports club lah, is it?
Because like I just joined a sports club, CSP, which is a community service project.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have to put this up when we have like Zoom meetings with the teachers from the schools.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'd just like to share a little bit brief experience of Jaren. Jaren, please correct me if I'm wrong. Okay,
Yeah,
so
sure.
Jaren actually joined us, okay, as a private candidate. Is it 2021, is it? 2020,
Yeah. 2021.
2021. Yeah, time flies. Okay, and retook his A-levels, and later on you'll share a little bit with your subject combi, okay,
Yeah.
right now he's currently happily in SMU. As I was sharing earlier on with him, there's not a record. He seems to be having a lot of fun in SMU, and that's what university should be all about. It should be all about having fun.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay, so what course are you doing now, Jaren?
Yeah. So currently I'm a year one business student in SMU.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
But currently I
year
have
one
not.
business? Okay.
Yeah, year one business. But I have not declared my major for the business management yet.
Oh, so you don't need to declare your major yet lah. First year is just for you to
Yeah.
explore around lah. Oh,
Correct.
okay,
Correct.
okay, okay. So your first choice is business what again? Business
Business
and
management.
management.
Yeah.
Okay, will you be taking two majors or something?
I'm actually
Sorry,
still
okay, let me
thinking
let me
about it.
let me let the dog
Yeah,
out.
no worries, no worries.
Yeah, the dog is as usual.
Yeah, I'm seeing him.
Some things don't change. Yeah, and you were saying when do you need to decide on your major?
Okay, so for SMU, the latest you have to declare your majors is by the end of year two. But then from now till the end of year two, you can actually declare your majors at any point of time if you're already very certain that you want to take a certain major.
Okay. So most of them
Yeah,
will decide at the end of the first year lah.
most actually end of second year because only in second year will we get to try like the different course from like whether is it HR operations. So like that is when we get a better idea of what we want to major in.
Okay. So Jaren is currently in SMU business. Okay, so maybe Jaren, you can briefly share with us, okay, what were your how do you do for your A levels in your second try? What was your subject combi?
My subject combination actually was H2 Econs, H2 Math, H2 Physics, and then H1 GP and H1 Chem.
You didn't retake chem, right?
No, I didn't really take Chem. I
Okay.
I, I used my H1 Chem results from my first A-level.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for the private candidates out there, okay, one good thing to know is if you want to retake A levels, you need a sitting of 3 H2 and 1 GP.
Yeah, that's correct.
Minimally, yeah, and your H1, okay, you can use their previous one, but some of the students they retake their H1 because they didn't do well for H1 as well. So mine to share, okay, how do you do for all your subjects?
Yeah, so for both H2 Math and H2 Econs, I got an A. Then for H2 Physics, I got a C sadly.
Okay. GP?
And then my worst was H1 GP, which I
Okay.
got a D, which I'm still satisfactory because
Okay.
I wasn't planning to use it. Just that I wanted to at least pass it for
Okay.
GP.
Okay, so if you for your second try, if you want to go anywhere, you still need A's lah. Huh? But what
Yeah,
about your
correct.
first attempt? Okay, what how was it like in your first attempt? Yeah, what were the grades? Was it the same combination? Did you change or not?
Yeah, I didn't change my combination, but the results was much more terrible.
Okay. Do you mind sharing it on air?
I don't mind actually, but I think I can't remember the exact one, but I can get a rough idea. I
Rank
know
points
for
or
rank 1 point. Oh, okay, I remember rank points because rank points was really very bad. My rank
okay.
points for my first try was 58.
58 was C's and
Yeah,
D's
yeah, it was very very bad.
C's and D's. Okay.
Yeah, so it's actually very bad. But then like second time I managed to pull it up a lot,
Got it.
so very happy with it.
Got it. So maybe we talk a little bit about your schooling because the decision to retake or not, okay, goes back to school, right? Okay, you have to
Yeah.
do the first time first and you have to You have to experience A level first before you decide whether to retake or not. So how were you like as in school? Okay, which JC were you from?
I was in Meridian JC.
Oh, back then it hasn't merged, right? With the
Yeah, it was the
Tampines.
last batch before merger.
Oh, right. So how would you describe yourself as a student? You know?
Okay, sure. So actually, during my JC days, I actually did my work in terms of like when there was homework being given, I would definitely try to finish my homework and submit it on time. But then I think definitely when I retook my second A levels, I realized one thing that I did wrongly in JC, which I brought from secondary school actually, was that I could just memorize and study on the surface, like what I seen on textbook. So like that was a very poor mistake on my part because I realized that in A levels it was so much more different from O levels because the questions can change so much more compared to O level questions. So I think that became very bad because I think that worked for year one where the content was not as heavy. But then when I dragged it to year two, everything started to snowball.
Right. So memorizing, okay, and usage of wrong study technique. Okay.
Yeah.
So were there any like red flags or were there any like telltale signs that you're not coping well in your first year or even second year? Or
The
all
study
along it's
like
been very subtle, or only erupt towards prelim, that kind of thing.
yeah, I think too many JC students have the misconception that they believe that even if they do badly up till prelims, they feel like sometimes you might have a miracle pull off for A levels, which I myself also had the idea at that point of time because like I think even for O levels, I also thought like if I did badly for my prelims, my final O levels would still do well. So I think I brought that idea to A levels and it didn't work out as for A levels as well.
So there's a so-called like a misguided projection.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. So all along you have been struggling. Am I right? Say struggling lah.
Yeah,
Eh,
definitely.
oh,
Like
yeah. So go on. Sorry. I missed out
okay,
what you're
yeah.
saying.
Sure, no problem. Like I think one of the best example will be for econs.
Oh, okay.
Because actually econs in JC I was actually very lost. But because I surprisingly managed to scrape a pass, like just pass for every paper. So I thought that maybe I would still be doing okay. But then it turns out very obviously like during prelims and A level especially that the results definitely did not show that I was on the right track for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So were you like I mean, since you have the aware, because some of the students definitely not aware that you're not on the right track, but it seems like you are already aware that you're not on the right track during A levels.
Yeah.
So were you able to what any form of remedy or rectifications that you had back then, or
I
just
think
pray?
I did pray definitely, but I think for me, I think the worst part during my J times was that I didn't confront a lot of my teachers personally to talk about my issue because, like I said, like I kept thinking that I was still alright in JC, so I didn't go in depth with my teachers personally to tell them that I had an issue. Like let's say for econs, like I didn't tell my teacher that I really didn't know what exactly should be written in an essay itself. So I kept waiting all the way till like closer to A level examination where I started finding my teachers, but then I realized that I think it was a bit too late because like there was actually so much things that I had to cover.
I wish the current year twos can hear your story, man. These are the day in day out. This is what I see.
Yeah, I think many JC students face this kind of problem, especially.
Of not asking for help, lah.
Yeah, correct.
Is it because of what ego, or is it they don't know that they need help? Maybe you can share a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't really say ego, but maybe because okay, actually, I think ego applies to a certain extent because like one was, I didn't see my friends looking for the teachers when they had problems, or maybe because they actually understood better than me, so they didn't need the teachers' help as much. So I didn't see the need to go and seek my teacher's help as well, as I thought that I could be like my friends and fix the issues myself, which yeah, it shouldn't be the case. because like I realized that it's very important to clarify your doubts, even no matter how small it is, because you never know whether the problems are actually bigger than you thought.
Right. It's
Mm.
like peer pressure, right? It's like very real, you know. If your friends don't ask, you don't ask.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think one thing in JC is like influence really make a big difference.
Ah, influence.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe you share that as a tip later lah. Oh, hey,
Yeah, yeah, sure.
okay. So now let's walk down the memory lane. So it may open up some very raw wounds or very raw nerves, but you know when you first collected your A-level results, you went back to school to collect, right? Okay,
Yeah,
when
correct.
you shave your head, that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
when you look at your script, what actually came into your mind?
Oh, I think I can still remember clearly, like because my sister actually came to collect my result with me on that day.
Oh, your elder sister, yeah.
Oh. My elder sister came with me with one of her friends also.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Then actually when I saw my results, I was completely stunned. It was like I didn't expect to do that badly. And then I think at the point of time, the only thing in my mind was thinking, where could I go? Like which uni could I even go to in future? Because I knew that my results was really very bad. So at that point of time, I was really just like super lost. Like I really didn't know what to do. And I kept asking my sister, like, I remember that I kept telling my sister, like, I really don't know what can I do in future. Where can I even go? But then at that point of time, my sister kept telling me that she'll try to find a way for me, which helped to comfort me a little. But I definitely still felt very lost at the point of time.
So at the point of time of looking at the script, okay,
Hmm.
and and the fact finally settling in, did the facts finally settle in immediately, or it took you a even longer time to realize that this is this is the final, and this is what I'm
Uh,
going to live with.
I think I did take a long while to accept it because like I definitely still tried comforting myself that oh maybe there are still certain alternatives that I could go to. But then like after trying multiple times to apply for universities, I kept getting rejected. I think and that like just brought me to reality that my result was just that bad for A levels.
Right. So maybe you would like to share with because coincidentally tomorrow will be A-levels results releasing.
Oh yeah. Oh right, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe you can share, okay, what are some, let's say if you don't do well for A-levels, okay, what are some of the avenues you have explored, okay, to search?
Yeah. Definitely there are many alternatives still, actually. Like definitely one is going to SIM. Like there are schools like RMIT and I forgot the other, but also there's another alternative that my parents recommended me to was to go overseas.
Overseas.
Yeah. However, because like knowing my personality, I wasn't really a fan of doing my university in overseas.
Or private
In like
use lah.
yeah, also a private university, but I wasn't too keen in that because I think since JC, like my dream was really SMU. Like I really wanted to go to SMU very badly since like the start of my JC times.
Right. Wow. Okay. Okay. Can be the official and brand endorser for SME.
Yeah, I think I can.
Okay. Okay. So what took you to decide that I need to retake A levels? Was it in your service time and when you're in army, or was it after army, or was it on the spot when you collect the script? You already this thought already started breeding in your head.
Yeah, okay. So like this idea actually only started to spark during my second year of national service.
Oh,
It was
okay.
actually during the time when COVID first hit.
Ah,
Yeah,
interesting.
because yeah, actually that was the case because like when COVID first hit, there were a lot of news of people getting retrenched from their work. And then at that point of time, I was really thinking very carefully, like, what do I really want to do with my life? Like, should I be finding something that has a future for me? And should I be doing something that I really enjoy in future? Like, I want to ensure that my future can be decided well enough for me to be able to not face the kind of stress that they face being like,
Sustainable lah.
yeah, a sustainable job in future, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also like when I was in army as well, I actually had a lot of friends who were much more mature than me, and like they were already like thinking ahead about their future. So when I started hearing like their stories and what they wanted to achieve in future, like that's made me had more motivation in life, and I wanted to do something that I enjoy and have a future for myself.
Okay, so you decided that retaking A level is more sustainable.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, because it opens up more possibilities and routes for you, is it?
Yeah, like I think not only the routes, but it also sparked the fire that I had in JC, which was my aim to enter SMU. Because realized that I realized afterwards that I have many friends who had entered uni already, and they didn't enjoy what they did in the university because they didn't get the courses that they wanted, so they didn't enjoy their entire life in university, and even afterwards, they couldn't find a job as easily because they took a certain course that was not as popular and it was not as available in the job market. So I didn't want to put myself in a situation like just because I have to retake one entire year of A levels and just ruin my future because of that.
All right, so you don't want to put yourself into a course that you didn't like or a second choice course lah.
Yeah, correct.
Got it. So interesting. You brought up that this thought of redoing only resurface in army. Okay, so I mean we met up in person before. You mentioned that you were a scout, right?
I
A
was a
sniper.
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 Yeah.
Yeah. Recently, I was reading this book about American Sniper by Chris
I see, I
Lei.
see.
Yeah. The American Sniper. Yeah. So yeah. So very interesting. Okay, you're one of the very few, very rare servicemen that Mr Teo has coached. Yeah, I've coached a wide spectrum of servicemen. Yours is one of the most rare. Yeah, so maybe you can talk about a little bit about. I'm not asking about what you do for vocation because it's not related to today's talk. Okay, but
Yeah.
maybe you want to talk about in your second year. Okay, how do you actually cope your regimental duties, okay, together with your preparation for A levels? Okay, were you actively preparing for A levels in your second year of service?
Actually, during my service time, I was actually quite busy because I was in third guards. So it was actually a bit difficult to schedule my time in national service as well as studying. So I think that was one reason why I decided to start my studying journey much earlier. So I started finding you in actually 2020 around early August
Oh, I
period.
rejected you, right? Did I reject you?
No, you didn't.
I didn't reject.
Never. I still remember one thing was like when the first time we met, like you told me like very seriously that like retaking was definitely not a easy
Oh
choice.
yeah.
But
August
the
2020.
pathway was gonna be very difficult.
Yeah, you wanted to do for 2020, is it? You want to do A levels on 2020, is it?
No, I was planning to do 2021.
Oh,
It's just that
okay.
I decided to come and start earlier at 2020.
Yeah. I talked you into that lah, to
Yeah.
have a teaser or have a head start first, right?
Yeah, correct.
Oh, okay. So that was part of your prep work. Okay, so
Yeah.
before that,
Before that, I didn't. I mean, I dig out all my JC notes to start like reading out and like try to gain some memory and insight back that I had from JC
okay,
to help to like, spark the memory and of course like start the routine of studying because I did not touch my books for almost 1.5 years already.
okay. Any particular challenges when you do so like that?
I think definitely one of the challenges was it was very tiring because like you had Monday to Friday very long daily routines and then like most of the time during the weekends most of the servicemen would just be laying in their beds and wanting to rest already to recharge themselves for another new week. But then because I had to schedule studying as well, so my weekends became a studying period rather than me having the time to rest. Yeah, so I think that was definitely one of the biggest challenge I had because every time I book out, I know that the next day I have to start studying.
Oh, so that was prior to the August period where you started with me, is it?
Yeah, correct.
Oh, okay. So you have to cope with regimental duties. Hey, what about, getting back into the exam momentum that you had in school? Hey, what can you talk about that?
Definitely the process. You can't jump straight into the studying process immediately. That's for sure. I think every uh serviceman transitioning to uni can vouch for that. That is very difficult to jump into studying the momentum of studying straight away. However, when you start doing it slowly, like example, first start studying like once a day, after you increase to twice a day, and then thrice a day, and up to even a week, you start to realize that you realize that it's not too difficult to go back to the momentum. But definitely at the start, it's going to be a huge struggle. Even just studying for one day will be a struggle because there's so many times that you just feel like, oh, maybe do I have time to rest? Or can I just take a short breather to use my phone and all? Yeah, so like you have to constantly like remind yourself that what are you trying to achieve here at the end?
Right, right. So you mentioned that somewhere in August, you took up my suggestion. So you actually had you actually was you're ending your service already, right?
Yeah, correct.
Ending or ended?
Ending soon.
Ending
Like
soon.
I only ended officially in first of
No,
November.
November. All right. So
Yeah.
for those, so what is your experience that you can share? Okay,
Mm.
for private candidates, okay, who is attending, let's say, Mr. Teo's class, okay, and currently serving the nation. Okay, what is your experience doing so, and anything that you'd like to share with them?
Okay, definitely one thing I feel that I think I didn't tell you as well, but I
Oh,
felt that
yeah.
uh
Hopefully
uh
nothing bad, because all
no,
this
no,
is
it's good, it's good. It's good.
okay,
Like
okay.
because as a person that was going to retake my A-level examinations, I thought that I had to just grind my work like 24 hours a day. But then afterwards, like when I started attending your lessons, I realized that I just had to follow very closely to what you required and demanded in the class. Like at first I felt like I was a bit afraid because like I didn't know how demanding you will be. But I realized that uh you demanded quality, but you didn't push the students too much to extend that it's like over their limit. And like you didn't push them such that they felt too stressed or overloaded with work. So I realized that I realized after a while that I just had to follow closely to what you demanded from us. And I realized that it's actually a very good consistency and it was more than sufficient for A-level examination.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was your experience. What about any and how does it fit into your regimental duties? And not pertaining to my class. Let's say if you were to do another, okay, let's use my class as an example. So how do you actually blend, okay, Mr. Teo's class into your regimental duty, for instance, and how do you struggle with that?
Yeah. So I think definitely uh I had to strike a balance because I had to consider how busy my what do you call it? I need to consider how busy my unit was.
Outfield, we've got
And of
outfield, right?
course, yeah, because like especially like national service is compulsory. And then but actually most of the time, maybe because I was commander, so I was more aware of my schedule from example from August till November. So during my army days, like I would try to figure out when I could squeeze like more time into my studies. And I started to consider which weeks I was going to be very busy like with outfields and all. Especially like closer to October, I had A-Tech.
Oh damn! I
Was
remember. I remember that.
yeah, and that was like the most I think most tiring period for every NSMF
Yeah,
NSF sorry.
yeah.
Yeah, so like example during that week that you're really very tired, don't try to I try not to squeeze in too much work because I know that you probably won't absorb much into your head. So do not try to force it. If you're really very tired during that period, actually just let it go and just spend more time in, let's say, a following week which are less busy. Like for instance, like the week after A-Tech is normally a resting period for all national servicemen so that you can recharge your body and all. So like during that period, I spend more time studying and yeah, like I attend your lessons, I did more work in my own studies at my own time. And when it came to busy weeks, I just did minimal amount of work or like as much as my brain could function to.
Right. So you're saying
Yeah.
that being in the second year of service, you probably have a little bit more. You can foresee your schedule and can plan around that. So I mean, during my days, okay, I can't speak for you, okay, but during my days, many years back, okay, my first year was also very hectic, more hectic than the second year. Was it the same for you?
Uh, Actually, yeah. Actually, yes. My first year was definitely more hectic than my second year.
So,
Because I think second year I had a better idea of my schedule compared to first year. Because like when you were recruit, they didn't really give you much ideas of what you're gonna do in the long run. So like you couldn't really plan your time as well, especially when the times was so long in a day.
right. So I do have like private candidates that are asking me especially servicemen that are in the first year, they're asking me for help. Okay, so but on the record I will always reject them. Okay, and
Mm.
what is your take on this? First year retaking A levels. Maybe you can persuade me to change the my rules. I don't know, but what is your take? Would you have done your A levels in your retake your A levels in your first year of service? Like that. And then if you don't do well in your first year of service, you retake it another year, second year. Would
Yeah,
you?
correct.
Yeah.
Uh, Actually, personally for me, I also would not recommend retaking A's on the first year because I actually have heard like multiple stories of people taking their A levels in the first year, like right after they receive their A level results, they choose to retake. But I actually, not to be very pessimistic, but I often hear that many of them don't do as well, not because that they are not hardworking, but because like during your first year, it's very difficult to find the time to study during your NSF time. Because like let's say in like recruit days, you have to be out of your bunk up till like 9 p.m. and you're required to sleep exactly at 10:30. So if you consider time taking to bathe and let's say contact your parents just to tell them that you're well, you're only left with probably 40 minutes at best. Or maybe on certain days you do have more time, but at the start you have it's very difficult to adjust to army time at the start because I know personally from being a first year. So it really takes so much strength and like determination to plan your time well, considering that you are not even given the time to study. So after that, I realized that many of them who actually retook during their first year don't do as well because they could not cope with both sides.
Right. So essentially, is the lack of control of time.
Yeah, correct.
Right. Okay. So let's progress on. So you have decided. Jaren has actually started with us in the second year, August, and then he has A-Tech in October. Yeah, I did remember that you told me that you will be away for some time. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Then after that, we took one full year in 2021. Was it 2021 to prepare
Yes,
for?
21.
Yeah. So now let's move on to your civilian life. Okay, this is probably what servicemen want to hear. Yeah, how is your transition to civilian life? And from a regimental background, okay, from a
Mm.
combat background, okay, from consistent looking through a scope. Okay, now you have to look through glasses, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are some of the challenges that you have encountered? Okay, when you transit from a regimental to civilian life and you retake A levels, that
Yeah.
particular year of preparation.
I see. Yeah, I think for me, the greatest difficulty was transitioning to a full-time student who is studying. Because like in on NSF days, like we do spend an entire day like working on our units and all. But then we do have times where we can just take breaks and just completely not think of anything. Like when in NSF, our breaks are truly breaks because you don't have to think of anything else when you're not in your uniform and doing work. But then afterwards, when you start transitioning to civilian life, that's when you have to think of all this. Like even when you're doing a break, you're still thinking of, oh, what do I need to study next? Am I studying enough? And how should I like plan my limited time in a year before I start beginning my A levels? So I think that was for me the most difficult part, which was the discipline.
Right.
in keeping my focus to the work itself.
Discipline. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So now here's the most juicy part for servicemen listening. Okay, so Jaren will share his experience and his tips. Okay, for servicemen. Okay, on how to overcome how to overcome challenges and specifically discipline. Right? You brought out
Yeah.
discipline as number one. Okay, so if you were to break the tips into three parts, okay, maybe you can break it out one by one. So what's the first tip that you have for servicemen? Okay, to overcome sloth or the opposite of discipline is being sloth, right?
Yeah.
Or procrastinating.
Oh yeah, definitely that's the word. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's your first tip for servicemen?
Yeah, okay. So my first tip for salesman is confidence, as in not just confidence in yourself when retaking the A-levels, but also have the confidence to just look for your teachers, your tuition teachers, to seek their advice when you have any single doubts. Regardless of how small it is, just look for them because you never know that it can benefit you in so many other ways. As in like sometimes there are topics that could be linked, so you never know whether this knowledge will be used in future as well. So one definitely from my own experience, confidence is definitely the key.
So confidence comes from reaching out to teachers, tutors that you have engaged, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and also confidence
Sorry.
in
Sorry. So
and also
you
confidence in yourself.
myself. Oh, okay.
I
Okay.
think that's really the most important thing for me because like when I retook my A's, even my dad was not very confident in me. So
Ah.
yeah, I think my entire family can vouch. At that point of
Your
time,
dad.
my dad was actually strongly against retaking it.
Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't know that. Your mom kept it from me.
only my mom and my sis was more supportive of retaking it.
Okay,
Like,
okay.
I understand his view, definitely. That is why I believe that you must have that confidence to prove to them that you are able to do it.
Right. So family headwinds as well.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, I just share with you on the record and off the record. Okay, your mom and me, we have been talking a lot. So your mom has been very concerned, asking me how Jaren is like. So when I look at your work, okay, what? So I also project confidence to her. And
Hmm.
and your mom, okay, probably can rub off some confidence from Mr. Teo, right? Then
Yeah,
project
yeah,
confidence
she
back.
did.
Yeah, so I mean, I just share this because you brought this up. If not, I wouldn't know.
I see, I see.
Yeah, so you see, your dad is like your dad is the minority.
Correct, correct.
But family
Yeah.
support is very important. Do you agree with that?
Oh, definitely, definitely. Because generally as a private student, you don't have as many like friends as compared to like when you're in school in JC who will like be studying with you at the same point of time and you'll be like achieving the same goal together. So in a sense, family really matters a lot because like they are your main support when it comes to retaking your A-level examination. So I think afterwards, actually, my dad did see me put the effort in, and he told me to just push through all the way since I have already decided to retake my A-level examination.
That was when? Somewhere in the middle of the year?
Yeah, I think around the middle of the year when he saw that I did quite well for my midterms.
Okay, okay. So your midterms, you because you're self schooling, right? Okay, so your midterms
Yeah,
is from another private school or something, is it?
yeah, in MDIS.
Okay. So
Yeah,
oh yeah, Jaren. Yeah. Okay, so Jaren here also went to MDIS. Right,
yeah,
MDIS is a private school for retaking A levels, right?
yeah. They have for A-levels, O-levels, and even university also.
Right. So honestly, okay, let's not label private schools, okay, whether they are good or they are bad. Okay, but what's your
Yeah.
honest take on private schools and their role of supporting private candidates? Do you think that they're meeting the market demand or filling this particular niche?
Actually, I have to say that, at least from my experience in MDIS, the teachers there generally were all very, very good and actually very supportive. However, I think the only issue that I had with the private schools is, okay, maybe not for me, but I saw for other students because actually MDIS, they had a 10-year A-level course,
Ten
which was the one
year.
that was, No, no, not 10 years, sorry. 10 months, 10
10
months.
months. Okay, 10 months.
Yeah. A 10 months A-level crash course, which honestly was a bit way too rushed, I feel.
Oh.
Yeah, so I think that was the only bad part. However, actually they did offer a 16 months course as well. But I think because everyone wanted to finish A-level fast, so I think many people made the wrong decision to take the 10 months course instead.
Oh, 10 months.
Yeah.
I didn't
And
know
also
that.
because the teachers there had like back-to-back classes. So sometimes it may be a bit difficult for you to have like one-to-one consults with the teachers. So that is something where you have to find a bit more, you have to be a bit more independent in your own studies. Like you can find them for consults, but definitely it will be a bit more difficult. Yeah. But
Okay.
I have to say that they do have very good teachers as well.
Right. So for the privates out there, private candidates out there, okay, private schools, okay, is also a form of consideration for you to, other than looking out for tuition centers, okay, so sometimes they do complement one another, right? I think
Yeah.
in this case, okay, this is like a good match, right? So you have a private school, okay, and you have some other tutors like myself to help you in with your some other subjects to fill up some of the niche, right? All
Mm.
right. So I reckon that the second tip that you mentioned was family support. Okay, so any particular? I mean, your dad actually saw them that you have changed. Okay, and actually put in good word for you. What about your mom and your sis? What role do they play? I understand that dad is probably the whip of the house, right? Yeah. So
Correct.
what about mom and sister? What kind of role do they support you?
Oh, okay. I'll say my mom played more of the caring role.
Caring
Like
role. Oh.
she didn't want to put she definitely wanted me to do well because she knew that I wanted to do well personally. But she always kept reminding me to also like take note of my health. Don't put so much stress on yourself. Like you know that you are already doing the work to achieve what you want to achieve in A levels. So don't keep thinking about you not being able to do well for your examinations. Don't keep thinking that have I studied enough? Yeah. Whereas I think my sister was a bit more strong, right? She told me say since I decided to retake my A levels and like take an entire year to do it, she said really be more disciplined to push through. So and I think one thing that I truly respect my sister is that she always keep telling me have the confidence in yourself. Like she said everything matters no everything revolves around confidence. When you are confident, you're able to do well better, study better, and absorb everything better. Yeah.
Right. And that's very good suggestion. Confidence. Wow.
Yeah.
So, I'm very heartened to hear that your family is actually very support. One of the more supportive families. In fact, the most that I've heard. So,
Hmm.
I do have some servicemen that got back to me that they say that their family structure is not as, I wouldn't say complete, okay, but not as secure as yours. So, what are
Hmm.
some of your suggestions for you for this
Hmm.
servicemen or people who actually ORD'd and who wants to retake their A levels? What's your suggestion on family matters like this?
Uh, okay, I definitely understand that family really does matter a lot, especially during this difficult time where you retake A-level examination. But there are definitely many alternatives, such as you looking for like your own like teachers, like example like yourself, like you can like share your problems with them or even ask them on like how you should be
Right.
studying properly, how you're able to achieve the goal that you set yourself for your A-level examinations, or even just talking to your friends. I think it's most important that you have to uh, share your problems out. You have to speak your problems out so that even you yourself know what's the problem lying with yourself. Like whether you feel that you're too stressed, you're not studying correctly. Yeah, most of the time I feel that you cannot keep it to yourself. You have to really let someone else know. It doesn't have to be a teacher. It can just be anyone that you're close to.
Even a
Yeah,
friend, right?
as a friend. Yeah,
Right.
correct.
Good. Okay, great. This is something really good to hear. Especially I do understand that private candidates they can be because they are so-called like homeschooling, right? Unless you go to a private school. Okay, so it can be you can be leading a life of solitude, right? And you know, there's very few people who understands what they're going through. So in a nutshell, opening up, okay, not only to family members but your friends, whoever that supports you is going to matter as well.
Yeah,
Right.
necessarily.
Okay. Any other last tip that you have that you want to share?
Okay. I think just
Or
to
how
one
many
last
more
tip.
tips? Or any bonus for us?
I think I have one more. I think for me,
Mm.
that's my most one tip for which I said just now already actually,
Mm.
is definitely yes, I did say that definitely the most key importance for A-level is studying in depth. But I think the most important is having to understand the topic itself. Like, yes, certain topics may be very difficult and it's a bit hard for you to get super in depth. Like, I understand that there are topics that you're just naturally bad at, which I also accepted myself. But I think the most key importance is you must really understand the underlying meaning for every single topic, and not just like me in the past where I just study on the surface, such as like the definitions. Like when econs, like there's so many definitions, and I thought that me just memorizing definitions will help me to answer like every single question. But then that turned out to be very wrong. And I realized when I started to understand each topic itself, in fact, I realized that I didn't have to make so much effort in memorizing because when you understand, you naturally absorb all the content. So I think that was one thing that really helped me, especially for econs, which I hated in the past in JC.
Understand, not memorize. Yeah.
Definitely memorize. Definitely, you always have to memorize for every subject.
Mm.
But I believe that before jumping to memory, you have to understand better, and that's when you can memorize better for every single topic and subject.
Right. Now, I wish I have some of my students hearing this particular phrase, you know. Yeah. Mr. Teo has done his part, you know, saying this like day in, day out. Okay. Whether you
Yeah.
guys get it or not, okay, it's up to you and God, not up to Mr. Teo. Mr. Teo did his part, right? Yeah. Okay. So to sum it up, okay, we have the three tips. The first tip, I can't. What was the first tip?
Confidence.
Confidence,
Yeah.
family support, and the last one is
I would say
how,
start.
st- study
I
tips
think,
or understand, not memorize.
yeah, understand, not memorize. Yeah,
Understand, okay, getting the concept right.
correct,
Right.
correct.
Okay, cool. So, we are done wrapping up with all the study tips for private candidates. Okay, so I have asked some of my current batch of private candidates to have a FAQ for you lah. Yeah, so unfortunately they won't be in this setting, but they have collated their questions for you. Yeah, I'm so
Okay.
sorry I haven't forwarded you the question. You may have to do this on the spot.
Yeah, no problem, no
Okay, so
problem.
the questions that I have for Jaren: what apps and service is he using during his time of retaking? I believe his question is from the productivity perspective. What kind of apps and service you use to help with your productivity?
Actually, right, I don't really use applications when it comes to studying. I know that, like, actually, my mom always loves to emphasize on doing timetable
Yeah,
for like
scheduling. Yeah.
entire stuff. And I understand that it works because I know many of my female friends who do it, and it really helps them to be very consistent with their work. But I realized that as a guy, doing timetables can be quite tiring, and it's very difficult to be very consistent every single month. So personally for me, the way I do it is that either the night before or right in the morning when I'm just having breakfast, I'll just think of like what I want to do for that day. And don't make uh your goals too big in terms of like what you can achieve in a day itself. Like uh okay, also not make your goals too small such that you do it very quickly and then you spend the whole day after playing. So what I would say is that try to set a goal that you can definitely achieve in the day itself. And then also when you have more time to do anything else, you don't have to go all out and study a whole new chapter, sorry. You can just study a chapter that you studied the day before and see whether you can recall the things or even just to freshen out your memory. Yeah, so I feel that like during the breaks, like morning and maybe like the night before you sleep, just think through of what you plan to do the next day. or in the afternoon itself, so that you don't waste time thinking of what you're going to do at the point of time when you're going to study. Yeah. It also makes you feel very lost in a sense. Yeah.
So in a nutshell, the goals must be achievable lah.
Correct, correct.
And
Definitely
bite size
suitable.
bite size
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good to hear. I hope whoever who's listening to this part, you got your answer. So second question. With social media and online distractions being so proliferous, I hope I got it right. How did you avoid getting sucked into that trap?
Oh,
I don't think you were very active in social media, right? Were you?
I wasn't the most active on social media, but I definitely did have my fair share in procrastinating and using my phone on social media as well.
Right.
I think this current generation, I feel that it's very difficult to avoid them entirely. Personally, I feel that okay, one way I try to juggle them both is such that I will normally keep my work, like example, I'll do 30 minutes of my work straight without touching any of my phone and all. Then for the next like 5 minutes when I want to use either you visit the toilet or just taking a break, I'll just start scrolling social
Right.
media. So
Right.
I keep my studying and break like in short amounts such that I can study as well as I know that I can also use my social media
Right.
on my phone as well. Because I know it's very difficult to control sometimes. Like you just feel the urge of using your phone. So you try to cater that time to use your phone such that you don't feel distracted when you're studying as well. Yeah.
And in
I
other
know
words,
you
you schedule time for social media lah.
yeah, correct, correct.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. I know it's gonna be very difficult, but after a while you get the hang of it. Like you know that you will have time to use your phone. So in a sense, you feel more motivated to study. Because I feel like one thing is that when you try to restrict yourself too much, you plan to use your phone even more.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. What did he do apart for A-levels during the time he was retaking? How did he spend his free time? I think we addressed this earlier on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So okay, please refer to the earlier rewind a little bit. Okay. So the last question: did he experience a burnout during that time? If so, how did he get back on the wagon after that?
Oh, burnouts. I actually didn't really face many burnouts because I feel that the way that I plan my schedule ensures that I do not stress myself out too much. And it also ensures consistency in my work. So if you were to plan your work in bite size, but yet you stay consistent to that schedule, you realize that you actually have enough time to study throughout. And definitely there will be times where you feel more stressful and slightly more burnout, especially when you reach topics that can be quite content heavy. So I think that's when you must definitely find your tutors as soon as possible to clarify the doubts so that you don't wait too late till to the extent that you feel burnt out already. Yeah. So when you face the kind of situation, try to speak to your tutors for sure because they definitely have many solutions for you to escape that kind of burnout cycle.
Early intervention.
Yeah, early interventions. You can really prevent. It's very possible to prevent it. Definitely.
So speaking of which, okay,
Hmm.
did you actually reach out to me for particular topics in econs like that?
Yeah, because like you had the monthly, like you check out of, like me like monthly with like
Oh,
every
okay, okay,
single-
okay, okay, okay.
yeah. So like you like every month you ask like what we have difficulties in for which topic. So I'll always just list out every single topic that I will have problems with.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Like don't try to keep it, just say everything. For me, I personally, because I knew that I didn't have time to keep delaying, so like whenever I have a problem and you ask me during every month, I'll just raise every single issue.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So whoever that's listening, be like Jaren, right? Okay, reach out to Mr Teo. Okay, so I hope we have covered the most of the FAQ. Okay, so I don't think we have anything else outstanding. So for those who would like to reach out to Jaren, okay, if you know, you can reach out to me. Okay, especially for private candidates. Okay, if you have questions for me, I can help you to relate to Jaren. Okay, else, okay, I hope, okay, Jaren has delivered sufficient value today, especially for servicemen. Okay, tomorrow or A-levels is your big day. Okay, when you receive your results, okay, especially if you didn't do that badly, didn't do that well, it's not the end, right? Okay, so Jaren has highlighted,
Definitely.
okay, that there are some alternatives out there. Okay, and yeah, and even retaking is a viable choice. Okay, so I really hope all the servicemen here really enjoy what we have. Okay, and if you have any questions, okay, can reach out to me privately. Okay, so thank you everyone.